Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the Milwaukee Chiefs cast live from the Wolf Den. I am Chris.
And I'm Josh, and this week we are recapping preseason week one. I mean week 17 against the Chargers, and the Chiefs actually fell to them at Arrowhead by a big, easy score of let's see here. I messed that up. 21-38. That's right. Yeah. So not big easy like New Orleans, and they won that game, but it was 21-38. And this weekend they're on a bye as the playoffs begin with Wild Card Weekend. But we are anxiously waiting to see who will be coming to Arrowhead to take their beating on the divisional weekend. As a big reminder to all Southeast Wisconsin residents, we are inviting you to join us for game day. Visit mkchiefsfans.com for more information.
As always, we'll be talking Chiefs and going over fantasy football for any of you lucky ones that happen to still be playing in week 17. And we'll also be going over the upcoming playoff bracket.
And of course, we are joined by Brian Reynolds, our Andy Richter-esque producer and sound engineer. And we are presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth, lighting, and coordination services. Visit them at completewedo.com. So let's get into the Chiefs. I did call this a preseason game in the intro. That was pretty on purpose because that's really what this game kind of played like. This was just a check of our depth. And as of right now, we're one of the only teams in the league that's gotten to do any kind of check of the depth. And so, Chris, I'll start with you. Who were the players, or who was the player that really jumped out at you when we were looking at the second team and beyond this week?
Yeah, the player that really came out of nowhere for me was Tim Ward. I think he was a defensive lineman, or I'm pretty sure he's a defensive lineman, but I thought that guy was all over the field when he was out there, and he ended up registering a sack. And then the other person who I was really curious to see and I thought flashed was DeAndre Baker. Unfortunately, DeAndre's injury occurred, broken fibula, but from what I saw, it looked like it was definitely a risk worth taking bringing him in, and I wish that we could have his services as a potential for the playoffs, but unfortunately we can't.
Was this his fibula or is his femur? I thought it was his
Femur, I'm sorry
femur.
about that.
Yeah,
You're right,
yeah. So
femur.
the femur is the leg bone that connects to the knee bone. Then you have tibia and fibia down for your shins. But yeah, no, he broke the bad one.
You did.
It was do not pass go straight to surgery. But it sounds like that went pretty well. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's stuff on the internet and it's public comments and things like that. But it seems like Reed was amenable to bringing him back next year, and it sounds like he wants to play. And I have a hard time believing that he's going to get the big, contract, if you will, just based on the way everything went down. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the easy road out here and say that the players that really jumped off the screen to me were Byron Pringle and Darwin Thompson. And that's not edgy by any means whatsoever, but Byron Pringle made me feel good about the future of the wide receiving corps. I don't see a world where Sammy Watkins is back next year, which means that somebody's going to have to be running those routes as that receiver position, and I don't see any reason why it can't be Byron Pringle after watching this game.
He reminds me a lot of Sammy when I watch him play. I mean, just the physicality when he has the ball in his hands. I've heard that he has speed. I don't know how comparable it is to Sammy, but
sure.
I don't feel like we lose a lot with him on the field if we're relying on Sammy.
Well, here's the thing. The thing that I think that we don't lose is the minutes played. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's on the field. Sammy's not, and that's the most unfortunate thing about Sammy. I mean, he's kind of a great what if. You think about what he looked like at Clemson and coming out as a 4th or 5th pick for Buffalo, and he was supposed to be the next coming, and it just didn't work out based on injuries and apparently believing in aliens coming to get him in the middle of the night and stuff like that. So anyway, great character. But Darwin Thompson, I was for the most part impressed with what we saw from him, and good running back depth. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Damian Williams does end up coming back and playing again. That'll be a really curious thing. I don't know what Darrell Williams' contract situation is off the top of my head. I feel like he's got another year left, but Thompson can make that backfield interesting again. He actually got a chance to go in and play some meaningful snaps. The other thing that I kind of noticed was Henny, and I wonder what he would look like throwing to first-team receivers and handing the ball off and dumping it off to Clyde and the Le'Veon Bells of the world and everything. I was pretty impressed with the way that he kind of rolled in and just, went with stuff. And that was kind of a reiteration that coaching matters. And if you have a good scheme and a good game plan, I don't want to say that quarterbacks are interchangeable, but it gives you the possibility that if you have to play somebody that wouldn't necessarily be a starter, that you can do it. But I really do believe that Henny could go find a starting job if he wanted to. I don't think he wants to. I think he's in ring collection mode, and why wouldn't you sit in Kansas City and back up Patrick Mahomes and turn that into a coaching career the second you retire? But I also noticed Baker and Willie Gay, and it was disappointing to see both of them go down because Baker was starting to look like somebody that could have been a good postseason contributor. So it's
I thought you did a really good job on Mike Williams, and Mike Williams is as physically gifted as any wide receiver out there. So that was
Mike Williams had a day.
He did have a day.
Yeah. Brian, anything that you got out of this preseason game, or were you as engaged as a preseason game?
Actually, I was everything was kind of firing on all cylinders. It looked really good until that mishap with the punt return. Seems like that took the wind out of the sails. So I was like, we're moving this ball. We're doing pretty, it's really looking, it's a lot of fun. And then that mishap happened. And I felt like it was a completely different game feeling momentum right after that. But I mean, we scored so quickly out of the after the kickoff. And I was just, so it was exciting to see that. Then that happened. We just couldn't really find our footing. Really, there's a lot of good plays and everything. And people did a good job. But obviously, we went down the way we went down, and there's kind of bonehead mistakes like that. If it shifts momentum, I guess that's a loss that can cause that kind of problem.
So, Anthony Lynn, did he deserve to get another season as the head coach, or did the Chargers make the right call?
He probably shouldn't have coached the season, to be honest with you. But no, I think he had his time. And to be honest with you, he got the quarterback this year. And we were talking about this before we came on. There are players on that roster. It's not like the Chargers roster is deplete.
Yeah.
So it's a bit unfortunate for him that I think they only won 5 games with a promising young quarterback and a pretty good supporting cast.
Did they win 6 or did they win 7?
I can't remember.
They might have won 7, actually. Hold on.
I might.
Yeah, they won 7 and 9. The Vegas won 8.
Okay.
Yeah. No, as a whole, the division was kind of garbage after us, but what are you going to do? So.
Yeah, but and plus, I mean, it's well. So, Len, is he an offensive guy or a defensive guy? Before I start.
I believe.
I think he played fullback in the NFL.
Yeah, let's see here. Anthony Lynn. We'll just Wikipedia him real quick. No. Yeah, he was a running back, so he's an offensive guy.
Yeah, offensive guy.
Yep, offensive guy. So yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate, and we'll get into this a little bit later. I think the biggest thing is we all know Eric Bieniemy is gonna get a coaching job, and I think we don't want it to be with the Chargers. But before we talk more about Bieniemy, Chris, what was your favorite play?
My favorite play was it was pretty much on the opening drive, seeing Byron Pringle again, the physicality in the red zone. His able to use his body to catch that short slant near the goal line, which I'd like to see that live, considering that could be a nice thing for us to have in the red zone in the playoffs potentially. So yeah, that for me that was my favorite play.
Brian, do you have a favorite play?
Okay, help me with this. Didn't we have a 4th down stop on the goal that in turn made a safety happen in the as they try to run it up the gut?
You're right.
Yes.
That 4th down stop though, that was pretty baller. I thought it was awesome.
And I think
Yeah,
that
no,
was
that was
after the
awesome.
muff punt too. So it was like muff punt, 4th down stop, safety.
Why do they keep? It drives me nuts when they run the ball up the gut, up the middle like that when they're on the half-yard line. I'm like, this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a coach, I'm not an offensive coordinator or anything, but it seems like every time I see that happen, I know when they're running offense from the 1 yard, like within the 1 yard line, I'm just like, they usually give it to the running back. It's common to just do that maneuver, but I feel a lot more. Maybe it's because I play so much tech in the Super Bowl. I feel a lot better going around the edges of the lines, but
exactly.
I hate that play call.
Hey guys, we got a guest jumping in with us here.
Here we are.
Yep, I see that.
So let's let the audio get on, but let's welcome to CHIEFScast. We got Curt from the NYC Chiefs group. How you doing tonight?
Okay.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Hey, Curt. How you doing?
So it
Great.
looks like the talk about traffic in New York City is on brand, huh?
It's actually just more of so in New York, I'm an architectural engineer. I do building and mechanical engineering, and from Thanksgiving until Christmas,
Yep.
there's certain work you can't do.
Mhm.
So there's kind of this weird thing right after January 1st where we're finally able to do a lot of work, especially in the Midtown area, and your days go from 9 hours to 14 really quick.
Yeah.
Is this a budget thing, or you physically can't do it due to some kind of environmental constraint, or there's too many people in the building? What's the deal?
So it's there's a couple of reasons. One of them is we end up putting up a lot of these. If you've been to New York, you've seen the green sheds, the sidewalk encasements,
Yep.
stuff like that. You're not allowed to put those up in certain parts of Midtown. They'll tell you it's for aesthetics because that's also where the expensive stores are, but it's also like a homeland security thing. They don't want places where people can hide things.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense actually. So I guess Curt, let's get you introduced to the world that we got going on here. So where are you? Are you originally from New York? Are you originally from somewhere else? And how'd you become a Chiefs fan?
No, man. I'm from Wyandotte County.
Oh, you
All right.
are. All right.
Born and raised, Bunner
Nice.
Springs, Edwardsville. So
Nice.
went to high school in KCK at Bishop Ward and 18th Street, in
Yeah.
downtown KCK, and then went to KU. Worked for a few years in KC before 2008 happened. I'm a relatively old guy at this point, and then
Yeah.
moved out to New York for work.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're relatively old guys as well, and
Yeah.
you're on with two other KU grads. Chris and Brian are both KU guys. I'm a Fort Hazer myself, but yeah, for Kansas, Missouri, just true blue KC fans through and
Yep.
through. So what is
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
exactly.
That's right.
What does game day look like for you guys? New York City is obviously a really big place, and you've got the 5 boroughs, and it's just sprawling and 8 million people. So do you have one consolidated watch group that you guys go through, or are you kind of multiple places and sectioned out, or how's that work?
So when I moved here 10 years ago, we didn't really have a group. We used to meet at a couple of different bars. There were like 4 or 5 of them. None of them were really like Chiefs. It was just kind of like, it was 10 years ago. We sucked. So it wasn't like we had a huge fan following at that point. But we had met at a few different bars. And then the person who actually kind of consolidated the group, because there's 2 different groups here. There's one that meets in the theater district.
Okay.
And then there's us, and we meet at a place called John Brown Smokehouse. It's over in Queens, in Long Island City. And the owner of John Brown Smokehouse is a guy named Josh Bowen. He's from Shawnee originally.
Oh,
Okay.
And he lived in Lawrence for a while, and then moved out to Austin, and then moved up here and started working at a barbecue joint called Hill Country, which is Texas barbecue. And he decided he could do a hell of a lot better. And so he opened up the only Kansas City barbecue joint in the, 3-state area, the tri-state area.
Nice.
So That was about 8-9 years ago when he opened up that joint. And at first it wasn't like a sports bar. It was just a barbecue joint. But
Yep.
and a woman named Sarah McKimmey, she's actually a Mizzou grad, but we can all forgive her for that to a certain extent.
I think
But
so.
she came out here. She came out here to go to FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology.
Yep.
And that was about 10 years ago. And she started up this group about 7-8 years ago. And so we all started meeting at John Brown's and kind of got everybody to start coming to the same spot. And, we're lucky. There are actually a lot of retired, of course, Chiefs alumni out in the area. Tony Richardson, who was a Pro Bowl fullback for us.
Tony.
T-Rich, which that jerk beat my ass this year in fantasy football. Complete prick about it. Yeah, we have a couple of those groups rolling around, but he lives in the neighborhood, and when he's not doing work for the Jets, he'll stop by and hang out with us.
That's great.
While we're watching games, but it's also just kind of a general hangout spot. It's always been a Kansas City bar, so it's like Chiefs, Royals. We were all there for the 2015 run. For those of us who didn't, man. I was lucky. I was at Game 4. So
I was going to say,
Game 5,
tickets,
Oh yeah, I was there. I made it on TV because I was close enough to the front row. I was surrounded by Mets fans. It was a good time.
Okay.
Nice.
But we get together, we watch games there. Dante Hall lives in North New Jersey, so he comes up from time to time. Last year, one of the guys from the O-line back in the 90s with Grunhard, his name was Valero.
Yeah. Yep. Joe Valero.
He showed up. Yeah, Joe Valero.
Yeah.
He
caught
showed
a few
up for
touchdowns too. Yeah.
Yeah, the soft touch of a big man.
That's right.
So we're lucky. We get a lot of those. We get celebrities showing up.
Wow.
And since we are the New York bar, we got a lot of play during the Super Bowl and the all of the games going up to it. So you would see us. We were one of the bars that they would go to for B-roll of fans, just like Power and Light. So
yeah, for sure.
Wow.
It's a good time.
So before before we roll on, I got a quick Queens related question since you mentioned being there. Akeem and Semi said that's the perfect place to find a queen. So is a man fit for or woman fit for a king? Is that true or?
I mean, what type of queen are you looking for? You
can
pretty much find
so they're all there.
there. Yeah. Queens, Astoria, which is a neighborhood in Queens, is supposed to be one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the world. So
nice.
So are we making?
You can pretty much find anything.
Yeah,
Josh, we're only 90s reference here. That was an 80s reference.
Yeah, I apologize. Coming to America was almost in the 90s. Actually, one of the most interesting things that I ever did when I was in Long Island, I went to an Islanders game at their old Nassau Coliseum. God, that place was phenomenal. It was a hole. I remember thinking that Gross Memorial Coliseum at Fort Hays, a D2 arena in Hays, Kansas, was probably comparable in size, but the hockey viewing in the inside was phenomenal. Probably the best that I can think of being at. It was like going to a minor league game, but it's all this stuff in the rafters, and it's like, man, the Islanders have a history. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and they actually started playing at the Barclays Center for a couple of years, but decided they didn't like it, and they rebuilt their own Coliseum.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. No, Long Island was cool stuff. So we were talking about the preseason game that we got to watch this last weekend. Was there anything that any takeaways that you had when we were looking at our depth? Because I mean, in all reality, we didn't get any preseason, so we're one of the few teams that did get a chance to actually look at our depth in a game situation. What jumped out at you from that game?
I mean, there wasn't a lot. Of course, Andy's not going to give away anything, and it was a preseason game. It would have been nice to have beaten the Chargers, but we got to see Chad Henne can hold himself. Like we already knew he could. I mean, you always hate seeing any of the injuries that happened, and hopefully everybody can get back out there as fast as possible. You're glad that we didn't hurt anybody who's, a primary player. It just kind of, hit us in the depth a little bit. It's like most preseason games. You can't really tell anything from it. So, you almost wish they could just concede it and be like, we're just not going to get anybody hurt and take the extra week off, but got to play, unless you're, Philly.
Yeah. Oh, good God. So, so what was your favorite play from the game? Or was there one worth even bringing up? I'll tell you what mine was. Mine was the one where the ball hit Darwin Thompson in the head and Byron Pringle caught it. It was
pretty cool.
It was fun. It was awesome, and it made me question Thompson's hands a little bit, but it definitely made me feel good about Pringle's just kind of ball instincts. He was there. He was ready.
I liked seeing that from Byron. Now, to be completely transparent, we went back into a complete shutdown out here 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So our regular bar is actually not open. So I'm back here watching it on Red Zone, and you could tell it wasn't that great a game going on because Red Zone really stayed away from us. Yeah. So we were in the black. I did see the Pringle play, slow motion replay, and I really wish Byron got some more time out there. I'm also kind of glad that he hasn't, because that means everybody else has been in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about him. Have we tried him as a returner yet? Because I'm worried about the rest of our return core.
Isn't he the kick returner?
He had a kick return for a touchdon against Denver. Yeah. He flashes all the time. He makes plays.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, maybe if it, wasn't the playoffs, give him an entire game of doing returns and see if he can at least, field them and not, cough them up.
Yeah. Yeah. So next thing that we were going to get into is if you had to look at the play calling from the, Andy Reid coordinator perspective, what was the best play call? For me, it was that touchdown run by Thompson at the beginning of the second quarter. It was nothing cute. It was just, we're going to hand the ball off and we're going to score. And in the playoffs, regardless of who the carrier is, we're going to have to be able to call that play and score. So that's what I thought was the best play call, is just make that happen.
Yeah, for me, Steve Spagnuolo is actually really good at this, blitzing off the corner. L'Jarius Sneed have at least a couple sacks this year. Every now and then, Charvarius Ward will get one, and DeAndre Baker had one in this game.
Yes, he did. That was a beautiful play.
Yeah, that was a really nicely schemed blitz, and I was really happy to see that.
Can I do my least favorite play call? Can I do that? Can I flip the script?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
go. Yes.
We're taking the script and we're flipping
grinds
it.
my gears.
Well, I think we already covered it, but I'm bringing it back with the run up the gut, and they're on the half-yard line, and they hand the ball off, and the safety, and the prevailing safety comes out, and I hate that play so much. You see it. I've seen it enough times over the years. Like, not just us, with all the teams. I just get so. I think I'm not alone. I get so anxious when we're that push that far into the end zone running offenses, that when I see like that run up the middle play to try to bust through to get a few yards and get some more space, I'm like, oh crap, here comes the safety. I wonder if I can run numbers on how often that turns into a safety situation, but that's my least favorite.
So, Curt, what was your favorite play they showed you on Red Zone? Best play
call, not playing Patrick, not playing Travis, not playing, going against that wisdom that you got to, at least do the preseason thing where they play half a game so they can, I think it matters for some people, but I think Andy knows his guys and knows that he doesn't need to run them out there. They can still be just as sharp because they'll do it in practice.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. So next thing, let's get into the old friend alert. For me, it's just Alex Smith. And he's every other week. He can be the old friend. Washington football team got their divisional win. I'm rooting for that team. We've been rooting for him the whole time. Mm-hmm. Big Alex Smith fan, and just happy to see everything that he went through and getting the Washington football team into the playoffs.
Okay, I don't know. I texted you this earlier, but I don't know who I have to pay at ESPN to not show his leg documentary while I'm eating dinner. I was at Jefferson's on Mass. I'm trying to eat, and they show.
Oh, you're probably eating a bone. You're probably eating a wing too when you're doing that, right?
Oh God!
Jefferson wings while you're watching that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just one shot of like here's a quick shot of gore. It's like every other second they're showing it. So I'm like, I don't know how to like convince ESPN not to.
And then here's the last time his leg looked like a tree trunk. Isn't this awesome?
Yeah. Oh yeah, love that guy.
Never coming to Jefferson's again. Thanks.
Curt, who was an old friend that you noticed? Just any player or coach or former Chief and.
Last weekend, I felt for Romeo. I think anybody who lived through those couple of seasons, with him, especially that last one, you'd hope his career would. I'm assuming. I don't think he'll be a head coach next year, and God knows if he'll get another coordinator position. But you gotta love a little Romeo Crennel. He was a good guy for us during a bad time.
Yeah. Always like the guy, and we'll always have that Packer one. that was
gotta love that.
That was right when I first moved to Wisconsin, and God dang, I had some pissed off coworkers. It was great.
We had just moved to Chicago, and I watched that game with a Packer fan.
Yeah, I mean, last weekend for us was pretty good, just because anytime you can see hurt Giants fans, you just gotta love it. So.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So being in New York, and I know what I've heard when I've been out there, but I want to get this from you. Who are the worst fans, the Giants or the Jets?
Giants fans are just kind of annoying. The Jets know they suck. The Giants fans still think they don't have to, but you get kind of everybody out here.
Yeah, for sure.
I love Philly fans. Everybody up here hates them, but gotta love some Philly people. They're random Raiders fans all over the place.
The worst.
And it always feels like they just hated their father at some point in their life. Never met a Chargers fan out here. There's supposedly a Chargers bar.
So it's funny you bring that up. My wife's from San Diego, and we started doing a thing where we'll do a smack talk where we get a fan from another team, and generally speaking, I'm networked enough that I know somebody who's a fan of everything. I could not find a Chargers fan this last week, so I did this taped a lightning bolt that I cut out of my kid's construction paper on a Brewers hat, and rolled with it. We had Rodney, the Chargers fan, and the thing that was hilarious is the people that I would have normally gone to do that couldn't for whatever reason come up with 2 minutes to talk about why the Chargers are going to win a football game, came back and said stuff like, "Man, that's like 5 times the amount of actual passion that I have for this team."
Hey Josh, for the next smack talk, maybe you should bring Rodney back, and he'd be like, "How do you like me now? How do you like me now?"
Yeah, we probably should. We probably should. But just given that, we might have to hit Curt up to help us find some just random, just traveling gypsies that made it out to New York and root for these random football teams.
I mean, we got some weird ones. There's a couple of dudes from Astoria, some guys out in Long Island, some New Jersey guys who are just random Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
And you always kind of wonder why. And it's like they always seem to start liking the team when we were at our worst, or like when we had one decent season. And you always ask them why, and they're just like, "I love this one dude," and that's it.
They're like, "Todd Haley spoke to me. It was great."
Tyler Palco really just brought me in. Yeah.
Brody Croyle was really big in Alabama. I just dug him, and I followed his career.
Hey, you know what? In the pantheon of terrible quarterbacks we've had, Brady Croyle wasn't that bad.
Croyle was one of those guys you always thought was going to be good. You were just waiting for it.
He was just made of glass. That was his problem.
Palco never was. So, I mean, that was.
Well, I mean, what'll always get me is that Gerbach decision. 50-50, and we made the wrong one.
I was at that playoff game
Gerbach
too.
Gannon, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being like, man, Gannon's the man in keeping.
Yeah.
Remember when Trent Green got hurt and Dwayne Heward came out and like had like the best
Yeah.
quarterback
David Heward,
season, like,
yeah.
ever? And like, do we bench him? Green's back? They're like, yeah, I guess we have to. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
for
know
the
if we
Colt
want to
game,
give it.
yeah.
He's kind of on fire.
Oh, the stadium gave a standing O when Heward came on when that happened. Yeah, it was crazy how they went nuts.
No, that was the year the Colts won their Super Bowl with
Yep.
Manning. Yeah. Yep, crazy time. So an old friend, Chris, who's yours?
Well, he was an old friend, but now he's back again. It's Dustin Colquitt. He's signed to the practice squad. So, yeah.
Just glad to have him back in the organization.
I am too.
Love
like
Colquitt.
You know, bury me a Chief. I mean, I'm so glad that he's back, and hopefully he can retire in red and gold as he should. But yeah, they bounced around the Steelers and the Bucks, I think, this year. So it's good to have him back home.
So Brian, let's get into our week as a song. If this last week was a song, what's your song?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that. I was about to say Jared Allen is my old friend, by the way. But
sorry, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yep, Jared Allen, go on. Hall of Fame voting finalist.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh god, what was the song? I'm not prepared. Let me think. A song, something about like we're back. Oh, we're back in business. Is that a thing? Back in business? Is that a song?
Yeah.
Or take
and you're not horrible at music, so I know you know this. Go with the boys are back in town. Chris, if the week was a song, what's yours?
So anytime I can fit this band in, I'm happy. My song is Pearl Jam's Comes Then Goes. It's actually one of their newer songs, but if you listen to it, the title's fitting for me because this past weekend could just have came and went, so that was for me. But it's also just this about 5 to 6 minute acoustic ballad that's just kind of redundant and just kind of like, you know, singing in your head. Like I don't know. I just had no feelings, strong feelings about this past weekend, and I'm just ready and looking forward to the playoffs now.
Kurt, you got a song for us?
Patience by GNR.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, it's you know, I love the fact we are where we are, but the next, you know, it basically it feels like we've got 3 weeks off. So,
and I'm gonna go on both of you guys there. So we about a week and a half ago did one that we're editing together with Pete Sweeney from Arrowheaded Pride, where we did the season as a playlist. And so my preemptive for the playoff bye week is The Waiting by Tom Petty, and really being 3 weeks off, that's it. So I'm just going to recycle that. The waiting's the hardest part, but at the same time, I'm also taking joy in the fact that we can just relax and watch football this weekend and figure out who our opponent's going to be. And it's just going to be, you know, kind of nice to take it in and just be a football fan for a weekend. So from a stat standpoint, my favorite stat for the weekend is 3,000 almost, because it was 2,296 days between starts for Chad Henne. The last one was on week 3 of the 2014 season. He threw 7 passes, and the Jags benched him against the Colts for one Blake Bortles because that was the future of that organization. Chris, what was your favorite stat?
This comes from our friends over at Arrowhead Pride. This is actually really interesting. And I love the way they phrase it. So they say that the Chiefs dodged a bullet on Sunday, and this is why. No quarterback leading the league in passing has ever won a Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes actually came into week 17 leading the league in passing yards, and Deshaun Watson passed him up. So
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So yeah. Don't have to worry about that monkey on our back, I guess.
Well, another thing I saw since 2013 or 14, I want to say, the Super Bowl champion has gotten a bye every year.
Yeah.
Kurt, what's your stat?
Honestly, I'm at a loss there. There was one that I heard, but I don't want to misstate it the other day. I'll try to recollect it here in a second. So
we have really diligent facts checkers, as you can imagine, and we'll make sure to call you out if we get this wrong.
Well, it's one of those things that
Google.
As an engineer, you hate to be wrong on numbers.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But okay, so let's talk about Eric Bieniemy. And so what I want to get from everybody is, where's your guess of where he's going to end up? Where do you hope he ends up? And where do you not want him to go? So, Chris, I know you have opinions on this. Where do you think he's going? Where do you want him to go? And where do you not want him to go?
I actually think he'll end up in Houston. I know I mentioned another team, which let someone else bring that up, but I actually hope he goes to the Jaguars. And the reason why, I mean, he would have so many resources down there. You got the number 1 overall pick, who's going to be Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
They have a ton of draft picks and a ton of cap space. So, I mean, he literally could build that team the way he wants to, with a potential franchise quarterback. The second coming of Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning, whatever you want to call him. So I actually think that would be the best situation for him.
Where do you not want him? Just say it.
I don't want him coaching the Chargers. I don't want to see him twice a year.
Yeah. Curt, what do you got?
Where I would like him, I'm with you on the Jaguars, cap space, pick. There's always the tax incentive of being in Florida.
Yep.
Where I don't want him to go, I hate the so far the legacy of failing Andy Reid coaches going out there. I mean, failing's relative term. Matt Nagy and what's going on down in Philly isn't the greatest thing in the world, even with the Super Bowl. I don't want him going to the Jets because that is a black hole.
It's a clown show. Yeah.
So are Lions.
Yeah. The Lions are too. I think there's slight bit better opportunity there because you've got Aaron Rodgers on the way out. The Vikings can't get out of their own way. So maybe. You've also got to think of divisional. Does he really want to go to like the Chargers where, you got Herbert, but the Raiders aren't terrible and the Broncos always have a chance to be decent, and he'd have to play Patrick Mahomes twice, twice every season. So does he really want to go to a place where if he has 1 or 2 bad seasons, they're going to start thinking, do we need to get rid of this guy just like Anthony Lynn? I think Jaguars would be my pick for him.
Brian, you got any opinions on this?
I heard there's an opening at the Jets.
So, Curt, I'm going to send you this link as soon as we're done. Brian made a phenomenal video montage for the Jets that I think you're going to have a lot of fun throwing at some people.
You might want to fly to Lawrence and punch me in the face. I don't know. We'll see. But
I have no problem with Jets fans. They all, I think, just are self-loathing and only there to have a good time and always expect their team to be a bunch of failures. So
yeah.
Jets, Jets.
Jets. I'm a KU football fan, so I kind of relate.
Perfect season again this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and in all reality, I mean, let's just ask this question: what are the differences between Mark Mangino and Rex Ryan?
Mark Mangino.
Sure. Is this a joke, or are you actually wanting us to answer that?
I actually want you to answer this. Compare the two.
Well, I don't know if Mark Mangino has a foot fetish, so maybe that's a clear and obvious.
I mean, I'm thinking just wild success, but you kind of didn't want a microphone in his face. You kind of didn't want to see him on camera. It just, I don't know. It was kind of the same guy.
I think it fit Rex Ryan in one of Mark Mangino's leg as jeans back in 2000.
It's probably true. Probably true. I'm with you guys. I'm guessing that the Texans is where he's going to end up. They seem like they're messing up and just botching stuff. They've got Deshaun Watson.
I hear Deshaun
really
Watson's
upset.
like hot for him right now.
Yeah, and that's it. Deshaun Watson's upset.
Yeah.
And so you can make Deshaun be happy by giving him Bieniemy. But I'm with you guys. I think the Jags is where I would put him if I was sending him to a place, or the Falcons, just because I want him out of the AFC, and just kind of go there. But if you're talking about a place where you can go succeed, I was listening to Colin Cowherd the other day, and he was talking about all these different quotes from Shad Khan, the Jags owner, about how like Jerry Jones level involved he wants to be in things. So there's a level of concern there, but No taxes, Trevor Lawrence, and $75 million in cap space. Just they figure it out, make it
Well,
work.
yeah, and he gave Doug Marone 4 years, and I can't remember who preceded Doug Marone, but it's not like Shad Khan's going to come and give you the axe right away.
Yeah,
He actually
exactly.
gave the last two coaches a chance.
Exactly. But I'm with you guys. I want nothing to do with seeing him in LA for the Chargers.
That'd be too hard.
It would suck. I'd be happy for him. I mean, he needs the
Mhm.
head coaching gig. He deserves it. He's deserved it for the past 2 years, and it's time. So, I just hope that's not where it's at. So let's get into some
And he's
playoff. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Oh no, I was just going to say he's a former Charger too, so there might be something there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't go there, please.
Curt, what do you got? I know.
I just don't think. I don't think he wants to see us. I don't think he wants to be the second-rate team in the market.
Yeah,
So,
true.
That's
No, all
smart.
true. And actually, that second-rate team in a market.
Mhm.
Stan Kroenke did a great job of making sure
Oh
to
my gosh.
have a little brother come in. It's
Yep.
just, do you want to deal with Mark Davis or do you want to deal with Dean Spanos? Like, one is a potential steamroller, the other one he can steamroll, and he picked right. So anyway, let's get into the wild card matchups, and let's just go through real quick all 6 of the games and say who we think is going to win and give a score prediction. So, Curt, we'll start with you. Indy at Buffalo.
I would love P. River to do us a solid, man, and come through so he can lose to us at some point. But it'll be ridiculous. 42-35. There's no defense going on there. I know it's up in Buffalo, but I lived in Buffalo for a year. You can get some good weather every once in a while during the winter.
Sure. Chris, what do you got?
I'm going to go Buffalo because, and to the weather factor also, I mean, it's a dome team going to one of the toughest weather places if it's going to end up that way. But I like Buffalo. I feel like they're playing really well on both sides of the ball, and Josh Allen had a really sneaky good year that might have been an MVP year had there not been Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers doing what they do this year.
Yeah. Brian, what's your prediction?
I'm also Buffalo. Don't know if I have to throw a number out. So Buffalo 27, Indy 24. We'll go with that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty aligned with Curt. I just don't know that we're going to get as much scoring as he said. I want Indy to win, but it's not happening, and the Bills are going to go 35-24. Into the Rams, Seattle. For me, the Rams are reeling. Goff's up in the air, and this game's in Seattle. Not a ton of scoring. Seahawks 24-14 over the Rams. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Seahawks. I think it'll be I like your ballpark around 24-14 just because the Rams defense is very good, and I think they've done a good job against Seattle, but I can't take a one-handed Jared Goff against a healthy Russell Wilson in this game.
Yeah, by the way, one of those touchdowns in that 14 is a defensive touchdown. Curt, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
I don't think we get Jared Goff. I think they're kind of psyching us out. I don't think you can play after having surgery on your throwing thumb. So I'm thinking closer 28-10.
Okay. Brian, what are you thinking?
Oh, Seattle. I think it's so hard to beat Seattle at Seattle. I mean, it's so competitive there. So leaning towards that, I think I'll do 21-14 Seattle.
Cool. All right, Washington football game. This is my upset of the weekend. Chase Young is going to back his mouth up. Alex Smith is going to complete his story. Washington football team 16-13 for the Bucks. Curt, what are you thinking? You're thinking.
I'm thinking it'll be dink and dunk. I'm thinking that Chase Young will do his thing. I'm thinking closer to like 10-7. I'm going with Washington, 10-7.
All right. I can see it. Brian.
Oh God,
Alex Smith's leg. Your lunch
Stop
0.
it. Stop it. Stop saying it. Oh, come on. But so it's Bucks. They're playing Bucks. Keep in mind, I didn't do any show prep, so they're playing the Bucks.
They're in Washington.
Okay, Bucks are in Washington. Okay, you know what? I think this is Washington stepping out. I think this is my first. Bucks are going to win that one. I'm going to go Bucks. Bucks 24-17 Bucks.
Okay, Chris.
This game gives me a little bit of PTSD of Alex Smith going to Foxborough to play the Patriots in the 2016 playoffs. So I'm sorry, I can't take the Washington football team here. I think it'll probably be. I'm going to go 24-10 Tampa.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us what you think of Baltimore and Tennessee while you're at it?
Gosh, if Tennessee's defense wasn't so terrible, I would take Tennessee, but I feel like Baltimore is really playing well on both sides of the ball. Now, there's a huge monkey on Lamar Jackson's back, and I still have yet to see him perform in the playoffs, but I think they're going to get past the Titans. I think it'll be I'm going to probably take them 27-21 in this game.
That's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. Kurt, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking 35-28. Derrick Henry gets 3 touchdowns. The Titans keep Baltimore without a postseason playoff win.
Okay, so let's just play the what-if game here. Let's say that that's exactly what happens. Are there any major changes in Baltimore after that? Or do you try one more time with whatever that team is?
I think regardless, you got to put more at the skill position because I think I said this earlier. I mean, when your best option is Hollywood Brown to throw the ball, I mean, it's not really doing a lot.
Mark Andrews is better.
He is better, but I mean, I wouldn't make drastic changes. I would try and upgrade the skill position on offense if I were Baltimore.
Gotcha. Brian, any thoughts on this one?
My mind always goes to in playoff pictures like this. I know the Titans they're tough. And I think what was I remember the game last year, the last playoff game. Then we went on our run. But I just whenever I see Baltimore on the screen, I'm just like I always think like they're also so tough to beat, and I tend to see them triumph more often. Something in Baltimore.
Gotcha. Yep. So as of right now, we're all in on Buffalo. We're all in on Seattle. We're split on Washington and Tampa, but we're all in on Baltimore. I don't think there's going to be any question on this one.
We've never gone wrong, by the way. We're betting 1,000.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Kurt like Tennessee. Sorry. Kurt like Tennessee. Kurt like Tennessee.
Okay,
I like Derrick Henry. I think he turns into an abominable snowman during the winter, and he just beats up on people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Yeah. So sorry about that. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to talk about on this one. I've got the Saints and the blowout of the weekend. Saints 49, Bears 10. This isn't going to be a football game. Anybody have a different thought on this?
Is this that 10,000-1 situation where I have to take the bet?
Yeah. When you get 10,000 to 1
Paul
odds,
Kevin Malone here. That's
you
right.
take it.
John Mellencamp ever wins an Oscar, I'm going to be a very rich man. Yes.
I love a good Office reference. Saints. Come on. Who are we getting here?
Kurt or Chris, you guys have any airtime to fill with this?
Well, here's the only question. How good are those ribs? So
fair enough. Fair enough.
What happens if the defense gets in there?
Sure.
I mean, it's a good running track. If if that O-line doesn't really keep Drew Brees clean, and we see Taysom Hill come in, anything can happen.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I still think that if you get into a Taysom Hill versus whatever Chicago's got going on, I still have to feel the Saints, but it's not going to be the blowout that I'm talking about. But yeah,
I like the Saints defense a lot in this matchup.
All right, so Curt, let's start this home stretch here. You got Cleveland going back to Pittsburgh for another game. Do we see anything different from this last weekend?
I want them to do well. I just, funny enough, I know plenty of Cleveland fans here in town.
Yep.
You got to feel for the Browns. At the same time, I kind of want the Steelers to win so that we can take out some old juju on Ben Roethlisberger and just knock the crap out of him in his hopefully last game as a Steeler. I mean, that would be cathartic after the Steelers, dashing our dreams in the postseason so many times and just beating up on us for years. I think the Browns are just going to end up in a hole, and Baker's going to try to make something happen, and it's 50-50 if he throws a pick six or gets a 50-yard, touchdown. So I just think it's going to end up being,
So I'm going to make this a really Browns game, and what I've got is the Steelers getting it done at 24-20 with the Browns stalling out at the 5-yard line as time runs out. I think it's going to be a horrifying ending for them, and I just don't see a way that this ends differently.
I like the Steelers in the blowout. The Steelers had the ball with Mason Rudolph in a 2-point conversion to tie late with nothing to play for against a Browns team that basically was in their Super Bowl. I think the Browns' shine is going to be completely knocked off here. I'm going to go Steelers 27, Browns 13.
Brian, what are your thoughts, and do you think Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, being out with COVID makes any difference?
That too, yeah.
Yeah. So the Browns, wow, how long has it been since they've been in the playoffs? What's the year number?
95.
95.
02, I thought.
02?
You're with Eric Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, 02.
18 years to get back to the playoffs, and they're going to have to wait a little longer to win a game in the playoffs. They just got back.
Yeah.
You can't
I don't think they've won a game in the playoffs since 95. But yeah.
Okay, that's where I got that number.
I'm thinking they're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that one. But, hey, we're here. The fact that we're talking about the Browns in the playoffs, that's fun. So,
basically what we're looking at was we're going to be hosting the winner of Tennessee and Baltimore, and then Buffalo and Pittsburgh we think are going to be playing each other. So, it's kind of playing out according to script, if you will. And then over on the NFC side, we would have the Packers playing Washington or Tampa, with Seattle and New Orleans playing each other. Sounds like some pretty compelling divisional round football, if you ask me. Let's jump into fantasy. Curt, are we correct in assuming that you're a fantasy football player?
I only had one team this year. So, I got my butt handed to me. We play in a pretty dedicated league with some people, but I play a bit.
Gotcha. Okay. So every week we talk about who's your boom, your bust, and your most okayest fantasy player.
This is where I go play video games because I don't have a fantasy football team.
I had a buddy that one year for Halloween dressed up as fantasy football. He put on a wizard robe and put on like face paint, wore a helmet and shoulder pads, and walked around and said, "Give me your money and I will give you glory over people you don't like."
Sounds like Fantasia football, like that.
Fantasia Football League. There you go.
So am I.
Your boom, bust, and okayest player.
Okay, boom. I just think the Seahawks are going to go for it. So I think Metcalf is going to have a return week. My bust, Gronk. I think they're going to go to him a lot, and I have a feeling that Brady's just not going to have time to get the ball out to him the way he likes it. And okayest, who are you going to pick in the middle with all these games? think the okayest is going to end up being probably Ben Roethlisberger, but I don't think he's playing in the fourth quarter halfway through.
There you go. Chris, for this upcoming week, boom, bust, okayest.
Let's see. Boom. Let's get the teams in front of me here real quick. For boom, I'm going to go on a legend. I'm going to say Lamar Jackson. I think that he breaks through finally. Which for him, winning a playoff game in itself is a boom. As far as bust goes, I'm going to say Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to struggle. And okayest, I'm going to say Tom Brady.
So
but I think he only has to be okay to win this game.
Yeah, fair enough. So my boom for the weekend, Buffalo doesn't stop the run very well, so I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor as a potential for a boom. For a bust, I think the Bears are going to get their faces beat in, so let's say Allen Robinson, because you would normally expect him to score some points. And then for okayest player, I'm going to go with Will Lutz, the Saints kicker, because you're going to be okay with the 5 points he's going to give you.
Yeah.
Brian, who are you going to be playing with Tecmo Super Bowl this weekend?
Well, I'm feeling I want to play with the 49ers. I like that Joe Montana, Jerry Rice combination whenever I play
There you go.
Okay.
The Tecmo Super Bowl. So
It's pretty lethal.
All right, so Curt, as our guest, we're going to throw the first of our two curveball questions we throw at everybody. So here's the first one. It's a theoretical. You're given 2 days off of work and a flight to Vegas and a check for $1 million. You have a stipulation that you have to spend that entire million betting on the AFC champion, the NFC champion, and the Super Bowl champion. Who are you betting on in each of those three games, and how much of the million are you spending on each of them?
Single bets, no hedge.
Single bets, yep.
I mean, AFC. I mean, the chalk right now is, of course, us. And but if I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna say Bills and Bucks, with us as the Super Bowl champion, because it doesn't have to make any sense, but you can make your money on the Bills, who've got a decent, probably a decent line. Although if I'm going to go with that theory, then I probably want to go with Seattle, because I think the Bucks right now are the chalk. So actually, let's go Bills, Seattle, us for the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Going to win somewhere in there, hopefully.
And how much are you betting on that
probably,
Super Bowl win?
Could be lazy and just say 333,000 on each, but I'll go with quarter on AFC, $250,000 on the NFC, and half on the Super Bowl. I'm not going to make much on that Super Bowl, but it'll feel good.
Absolutely. You're going to make a round at the bar. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, thinking in that aspect, let's get a little crazy here. I'm actually going to put money on the Ravens. Out of the AFC, the NFC, I'm gonna go with the Packers. I'm gonna go straight chalk on that one, and then the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So going off that logic, it's the 10,000 to 1 logic that I have here. I guess I'll put 100,000 on the Ravens. I'll put let's go $250,000 on the Packers, and then the rest on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so $650,000.
Ryan, what are you betting?
all right, half on Chiefs. The other half, gosh, am I in tilt? Maybe I'm on tilt. I'm gonna put $300,000 on Washington football team because I hate money, clearly. Oh,
Or you really like it.
let me just burn
That's
it.
right.
I invested in
Just
Dick.
take her.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs, gosh, I mean, if I was going to bet money for fun, get my energy going, because it might be fun to see what happens. I think Seattle. Yeah, I don't know what number I'd put on. I'm probably a split between quarter mil and then for the NFC champion, probably the Packers, I would imagine. So that's the stipulation for the rest of it. So
Yeah, so I'm gonna stick with my, this is the hedge fund savings account, throwing money at the moon type of thing, Washington football team, and I'm gonna take that up to 150,000, just because whatever, 150,000 for them to win the NFC. And for the AFC, I like the direction you guys are going, and so we're gonna hedge fund the AFC and do another 150 for the Colts, and then put the rest on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. So we're gonna get weird.
oh, they were going to bet real money on this, right?
Yeah. So no, real money.
go.
I think I would just go Chiefs Packers and just bet on
Yeah.
the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl and call it a day. But that's not fun, and that's not giving a day off of work and a check from money you're not paying back. So next question we have, Curt, and I think we know where this is going to go. Patrick Mahomes puts ketchup on his steak. Would you do such things?
Love him. I really do. He's wrong. Rare, nothing. That's the only thing a steak should be.
Salt and pepper, or
I
that
mean,
should have been cooked
seasoned
into
during
it by
the
then.
cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, if it shows up, the only thing you should need to do is cut it and eat.
I agree.
I like it.
It's where we're at too. I mean, but it just shows that Patrick Mahomes is a human.
Everybody has those weird tastes, and that's his. And if that's the worst thing about him, I'm good.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well that's the end of the topics that we have. So thanks for jumping on with us. The way that we always end these is we have an open forum where you can do just the last take. You can say anything that you want to. So what is on your mind this evening?
Really looking forward to the weekend. Really looking forward to being able to watch some games without any stress. I want everybody to just remember 2013 and where we were and where we are now, and just be grateful for that. That's what I'm going to spend my weekend doing. We are the team that we wanted to be back then. If you could have gone back and told me then, hey, this is what you'll be doing, 2021, all other things considered, it's pretty good. And I think I don't want people to get too spoiled. Just remember how good it feels.
True.
Yeah.
Chris, go for it.
Well, we keep talking about Alex Smith and the adversity he's been through, and what the Washington football team's accomplished. But I want to bring up Ron Rivera and the season that he's gone through himself. He was hired back on January 1st of this year. And back in August, he was diagnosed with, luckily treatable, but he was diagnosed with cancer, and spent pretty much the first 2 months of the season undergoing chemo treatments. He, from what I learned, never missed a game. He only sent out 3 practices. He tried to stay as involved as he possibly could. And he was a real inspiration to that team by just, how much he persevered. And, the team started off 2-7, and they, ended up finishing the playoffs, partly because of Alex. But the other part is because of Rivera's attitude, and the fact that, one stat I pulled up here is that, the team did fall behind 11 times in double digits, but they actually came back and won 2 of those games. And they came back in 5 others with a chance to win late. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to speak, as they said, testament to the resiliency of their coach. So I just want to give a shout out to Ron Rivera.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Washington football team has plenty of cool stories to root for, and Ron Rivera is a great one. I mean, Dan Snyder is kind of a crappy owner, and the whole like figuring out what you're going to call the team thing, which is just at best a PR disaster.
I'd rather work for Jerry Jones than Dan Snyder.
I think the 2 worst owners in sports are James Dolan and Dan Snyder. I mean, they're the worst. It just you're jerks, you're tone deaf, you're just not paying attention to your surroundings, But Brian, what's your last take?
I guess this is a nice kind of perspective kind of thing. So this is inspired by my wife, who, and this also is a kind of what happens whenever you do have a Super Bowl champion. Now, my wife is from Ukraine. She didn't really watch American football ever until even when she's lived here for 10 years. And then, she'd watch me watch games, kind of passively or whenever I'd be watching. And she would go to games with us. Josh, she would come to games with us and enjoy herself. But I have to say, her whole personality now between football on Sunday, about building the whole day around it. When are we playing? She's like, I'm not leaving the couch. I'm watching every game, and she's following the game. And I gotta say, the power of winning a Super Bowl and having a team that's fun like we have right now, and bringing someone who's never really been into it to now being brought in and excited to be a part of the whole culture, the food, the excitement, and the drama. And she just watching her follow every quarter and with us there is just I guess it's a testament to what happens when you have a championship team like we do. So I guess that was still on my mind. I wanted to get that out there.
It's also a testament to what happens when you have a keeper. That's clearly cool because there's a lot of cool girls out there, but they're not all going to sit there and watch football with you all Sunday. A little take on a Clerks quote, if you will, for all the Kevin Smith fans. So my thing, I don't know what all other sports you guys follow, but the one that's really caught my eye here recently is the NHL, and they've gotten pretty interesting here over the recent years. So my kind of journey with high school, so we're with hockey, and high school is when I got into the league, and I don't think I could say that I watched more than 5 minutes of a hockey game before the 95-96 season, when all of a sudden the Colorado Avalanche are on TV because they moved from being the Quebec Nordiques to the Colorado Avalanche. And that season they ended up winning the Stanley Cup, and they beat probably one of the best Red Wings teams in the Western Conference Finals that the Red Wings have ever put together. And it was just one of those exciting situations where it's like, man, how can I not watch this again? And so I kind of went on this little mini journey where that turned into my favorite sport. The 2000-2001 season, where Ray Bork came out and they did the whole Mission 16 branding thing, which was great. And then the televised amount of games started picking up, and you had networks like Versus that were showing stuff, and people were trying to get onto their cable packages. And then you had the 04-05 strike, and hockey pretty much went away, and Gary Bateman kind of put himself out as the worst commissioner of any of the big four sports. And
it wasn't a strike, it was a lockout.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, it was a lockout. It was a lockout. So let's be fair. So Gary Bettman locked the league out, and he was just the worst commissioner that you could possibly have. And the guy was just a clown and just a comedy of errors. And then everything came back on, and the game kind of came back with a whimper. There was no TV deal. It was just an overall bad look. The games weren't as watchable. They changed the rules. I mean, granted, it was Olympic style rules where you got rid of the 2-line pass and things, but it wasn't as watchable. And, for me, the Avs sucked, which made it even harder to watch. It's not only are the games not fun, but the team that I usually root for isn't very good. But they kind of gradually came back. And then Patrick Waugh and Joe Sakic ended up being the coach and the GM, which made things interesting, which the best way I can describe that is if Derek Thomas and Christian Okoye ended up running the team, in the 2000s. Think of the Pioli area. Think of it was those two guys running it. It's easy to get back into the team. But what's gotten really interesting is this last season and the one that we're getting ready to get into. Hockey, like baseball, has exposed itself as very revenue dependent on games actually happening. So football probably has the best situation to be playing without fans because it's the TV money, and basketball's done a decent job with that. But baseball and hockey have done a horrible job with that. And they're just not as marketable on TV as the other two sports. But the NHL has come up with some true innovation this coming season. They're going to play in 4 divisions, and they actually went out and got corporate sponsorship for them. So you have the Honda West division, the Scotia North Division, the Discover Central Division, and the Mass Mutual East Division. And the Scotia North Division is the most interesting one to me because that is the most Canadian sponsor that you can possibly have. If you drive around Canada, Scotia Bank sponsors everything, absolutely everything, every arena, every like college, university type of place, it's Scotia Bank. And that entire division is going to be all the Canadian teams. And so the NHL has gone out of their way to sell division names. They're acting like this is temporary. I don't believe it. And they also set temporary divisions based on geography to cut down on travel in COVID time. But it was just so innovative, and every single other major sports league is going to be following this to some degree. And it's just crazy to see all this innovation coming out of the NFL or the NHL. And it's really interesting. The Avs are going to win the Honda West, and I'm enjoying watching Cobra Kai, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Good to see you. Go Chiefs.
Thanks. Go Chiefs.
You have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Chiefs.